HIV scare can be one of the most anxiety-provoking moments of your life. Maybe you've had unprotected intercourse last night, or condom broke, or you were exposed to someone else's blood, and now you're sitting, looking up online, did I get HIV? Here's what I need you to hear right now. The next 72 hours could determine your outcome. Hi guys, I'm Dr. Peter Aziz, urogynecologist and pelvic surgeon. I'm going to walk you exactly what you need to know, what you need to do right now, step by step. No scare tactics, just the fact that you need so you can act fast. So what is HIV and why does the 72-hour window matters? HIV is a virus. It attacks the immune system, specifically your CD4 cells, which are the white blood cells in your body that uses to fight infections. Over time, if untreated, HIV can progress to AIDS, where the immune system becomes so compromised that your body can't fight off simple infections. So how is HIV transmitted? Specifically through body fluids, blood, semen, vaginal fluids, rectal fluids, and breast milk. It is not spread through casual contact, hugging, sharing food, toilet seats, all right? So now, here's the critical part. When HIV enters the body, it doesn't immediately lock in. There is a very narrow window, which is 72 hours, during which a medication, antiviral, something called PEP or post-exposure prophylaxis, can stop the virus from establishing a permanent infection. After the 72 hours, this window closes. And this is not an exaggeration, this is science, and this is why you cannot wait. So first step is don't panic, but don't wait. I know your mind is racing right now. I know fear is making it hard to think clearly. That's normal, but panic will cost you time. And time is exactly what you need and what you don't have right now. So this is what I want you to do in the next 5 minutes. Stop scrolling, stop texting, take a big breath, pick up your phone, but figure out where you're going. You need to be in front of a healthcare provider in the next few hours, not the next few days. Your job right now is quite simple. Get to care and fast. Step number 2 is assess your risk. Think about your exposure honestly, because not all exposures carry the same level of risk. Understanding yours will help your provider who treats you make the right decisions quickly. So here's how to think about it. So higher risk exposures include receptive anal intercourse, highest risk of transmission out of everything. Also, vaginal intercourse, both receptive and insertive, carry moderate risk. Sharing needles or syringes with someone who's HIV positive, because exposure to blood from a person who's known to be HIV positive, including needle stick injuries if you're in a healthcare setting. Lower risk exposures include oral sex. The risk is very, very low, but it's never zero. Things that don't cause transmission like hugging, kissing, mutual masturbation, we don't see any cases that happen from these scenarios. The key question to ask yourself, was the other person HIV positive, or you do not know their status? Was there a condom used? Did the condom break? Was there blood involved? Was this anal, vaginal, oral contact, a combination of those? You don't need to have all of the answers right now, but be honest with your provider about what happened, because this will help them assess your risk accurately and decide whether the medication is right for you or not. There is no judgment here. You're doing right by seeking care. So extremely important, don't wait to see your primary care provider for your next regular routine appointment. No, you need to go emergency room, a lot of urgent care, they can take care of that, because actually most of these institutions, they can evaluate you and prescribe post-exposure prophylaxis. This is your best bet if it's the middle of the night or on the weekend. Tell the triage nurse immediately that you've had a potential HIV exposure and you need to evaluate it for PEP use. If you plan to go to urgent care, make sure you call ahead first to confirm that they have medications available, or they can send a prescription immediately. There are actually some sexual health clinics and HIV/AIDS organizations and clinics. So if you have one in your area, these are excellent resources and they are specifically equipped for this. They often have PEP medication available on site. Also, there's something new that we're seeing right now. There are some websites that allow you to request PEP. You will fill out a form. A provider will evaluate the exposure that you had, and if it's deemed necessary, they will actually send the PEP prescription to your local pharmacy. The reason why we say you have a 72-hour window, and it's actually better if you take it as early as possible, PEP can interrupt the virus before it can establish a permanent foothold in your immune system. PEP is not a vaccine. It's pills. It's actually a 28-day course of antiretroviral medication, typically a combination of 2 to 3 drugs. You take every day, same time every day. You cannot miss a dose. Side effects of the medication can include nausea, fatigue, headaches, especially in the first week. Usually these side effects get better over time and they're manageable. Definitely not a reason to stop the medication. If side effects are severe, talk to your provider because they can make some adjustments. PEP is highly effective when started early and taken consistently. Studies show that it reduces the risk of HIV infection by more than 80% when used correctly. Keep in mind, it's not 100%. This is why everything else we talked about today matters. Again, the earlier you start the medication, the better. Most effectiveness, if it started within the first 2 hours, effectiveness decreases as time passes. So by hour 72, the edge of the window, after 72 hours, it is not recommended to take the medicine because the evidence no longer supports its effectiveness. So if you're watching this, it's been 48 hours since your exposure, do not finish this video. Go now, you have time. Make sure once you started, don't stop early. Don't stop because you feel fine. Don't skip doses. The virus can rebound if treatment is interrupted, and missed doses dramatically reduce the medication effectiveness. You can set an alarm, you can put it next to your toothbrush, do whatever you have to do, but take every dose. So the other part that I want to discuss is that when you go in for your actual PEP, your provider or the ER provider or urgent care will recommend HIV testing. Why? Because you have to establish baseline status, meaning to confirm whether you actually have HIV from before the exposure or you're HIV negative now. This test is important regardless of what you believe your status to be. So once you test, you take the medication, 28 days. So at the 4-week mark, you will be tested again. Some people show detectable antibodies at this point, though not all. At 3 months, this is the standard window. A negative test at 3 months is considered highly reliable for ruling out an infection. However, we still recommend to test at 6 months because at the 6 months mark, you can be fully confident in your result that it is completely negative. Tests used today are 4th generation combination antigen antibody test. They are highly accurate to detect HIV earlier than old tests. Also, this is very important. While you're on PEP and waiting for your result, do not interpret every symptom as a sign of infection. Because yes, early HIV infection can cause flu-like symptoms, can cause fever, fatigue, swollen lymph nodes, rash, typically 2 to 4 weeks after exposure, but these symptoms are very non-specific, can be caused by a million other things. Your test results are the important thing that matters. Another step that I want to discuss is protection. Sometimes people skip this test because it's uncomfortable. They don't want to think about it. However, don't skip it. Until you have a confirmed negative HIV test, you should assume the possibility that you may have been exposed. Meaning that you have to use condoms consistently for all sexual activities during this period or abstain from having sex completely. Do not donate blood, plasma, organs, or any tissue while your status is unknown. Do not share needles, do not share syringes under any circumstances. Also, if you are breastfeeding, speak with your provider immediately about the safest path forward. Also, very importantly, talk to your sexual partners about your potential exposure so they can also seek testing and make informed decisions. I know this is a hard conversation, but it is the right one. There's no shame into it. It's about responsibility for yourself and for people you love and people around you. I hope you found this video helpful. Please share it with people who can benefit from it. Subscribe to my channel for more straightforward evidence-based information. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Peter Aziz.